You close the bathroom door. Maybe you don't even think about it. But within seconds, there it is. The shadow of two small paws in the gap underneath. Or the softest thud of a body settling against the other side. Your cat just sat down outside that door. And she's not leaving. Most people laugh this off. She's nosy. She's territorial. She wants attention. But feline behaviorists see something very different in this moment. Something most owners walk right past without realizing their cat just said the most honest thing she knows how to say. And the last layer of what she's communicating, the one almost nobody catches, might quietly rearrange how you see her tonight. If you're someone who watches your cat and wonders what's really happening behind those eyes, this is the kind of quiet knowledge that changes things. Consider subscribing, not for noise, but for a deeper understanding of the cat who already chose you. She's speaking. Let's learn how to hear it. There's a specific kind of silence that only cat owners know. It's the silence of standing on one side of a closed door and sensing, not hearing, sensing, that your cat is on the other side. Maybe you catch a glimpse of fur through the crack at the bottom. Maybe you hear a single, soft exhale. Or maybe you just know, the way you always know, because she does this every single time. You close a door, and she appears. Not frantically. Not dramatically. She just arrives. And she stays. It's one of the most common things cats do. And it's one of the most misunderstood. The easy explanations come fast. She's curious. She's controlling. She hates closed doors because cats are territorial and they want access to everything. And sure, those answers aren't entirely wrong. Cats do have a deep relationship with their environment. They do notice when spaces change. But here's what those surface answers miss entirely. Curiosity has a short attention span. A curious cat investigates, sniffs, and moves on within minutes. Your cat doesn't do that. She sits. She waits. Sometimes for 20 minutes. Sometimes for the entire time you're behind that door. That kind of patience isn't curiosity. It's something else altogether. To understand what your cat is actually doing when she stations herself outside a closed door, you have to understand something about how she experiences her home. For your cat, your house is not just a space she lives in. It's a sensory landscape, a living, breathing map made of scent trails, sound patterns, temperature shifts, and familiar rhythms. And you are the most important moving piece on that map. Your footsteps, your scent as you pass through a room, even the sound of your breathing at night, these are reference points she uses to orient herself. You are, in a very real sense, part of her environment's architecture. Now imagine what happens to that map when a door closes. It doesn't just block her physically. It severs a sensory thread. Your scent trail, which she's been passively tracking as you moved from room to room, goes cold. The ambient sounds of you shifting in a chair or turning a page disappear. For a creature who builds her sense of safety on predictability, that sudden gap in the sensory fabric of her world is not minor. It's not invisible to her the way it is to you. It's a disruption. And her response to that disruption is to go to the last place where the thread was still intact, the door. This is where the story gets deeper than most people expect. Feline behaviorists have a term for the kind of behavior your cat is showing. They call it proximity maintenance, the drive to stay physically close to a specific individual, especially during moments of uncertainty or change. It's not about controlling space. It's not about demanding entry. It's about maintaining connection with the one presence in her world that makes everything feel stable. When she sits outside that door, she's not trying to get in. She's trying to stay close. There's a difference, and it matters. Think about what that means for a moment. Your cat, an animal the entire world describes as independent, aloof, indifferent, is choosing to sit in a hallway and wait for you. She could go anywhere. She could eat, nap, groom, stare out the window. Your home is full of things that could hold her attention. But she parks herself at a closed door and stays there. Not because she has to. Because something in her is pulled toward you even when a barrier says she can't reach you. That pull has a name. And it doesn't sound anything like indifference. What makes this behavior even more revealing is its consistency. This isn't something your cat does once and forgets. If she's a door waiter, she does it reliably, bathroom, bedroom, home office, wherever you go. That repetition isn't habit in the mechanical sense. It's a pattern of choice. Every single time you close a door, she re-chooses to come find it. She re-decides that wherever you are matters more than wherever she was. Feline behaviorists note that repeated proximity seeking toward the same individual is one of the clearest behavioral indicators of a social bond in cats. Not food motivation. Not boredom. Bond. But here's the part that will shift something in you. Not all door waiting looks the same. Some cats sit silently. Some meow. Some reach a paw under the gap. Some press their entire body against the wood. And each of those variations isn't just a random quirk of personality. Each one is a different sentence in a language your cat has been speaking to you for years. A language made of posture, patience, and proximity. To understand what she's really saying when she waits at that door, we need to listen to each dialect separately, because what your cat does with her body while she waits tells you something far more specific than the fact that she waited at all. The silent waiter is the one most owners overlook. She's easy to miss precisely because she doesn't demand anything. No meowing. No scratching. No paw sliding under the gap. She simply walks to the door, sits down, and stays. Sometimes she faces the door. Sometimes she faces away, as if guarding it. But she doesn't leave. She doesn't wander off after a few minutes to find something more interesting. She just exists in that spot, quietly, for as long as the door remains closed. And that quietness, that specific, patient stillness, is one of the most profound things a cat can show you. Feline behaviorists describe this as passive proximity maintenance. It means she doesn't need interaction with you in that moment. She doesn't need to see you, hear you respond, or receive anything from you. She just needs to be near you. That distinction is enormous. This isn't a cat who is anxious or distressed by your absence. This is a cat who has made a calm, deliberate decision to position herself as close to you as the barrier allows, and then simply wait. Research on domestic cats suggests that this kind of settled, non-distressed proximity seeking is associated with what's known as a secure bond. She trusts you'll come back. She's not panicking. She's choosing presence. Now contrast that with the cat who vocalizes. The meower. The chirper. The one who sits outside the bathroom door and talks. Most people interpret this as complaining, she's annoyed, she's demanding I open the door, she's being dramatic. But think about what's actually happening. Adult cats rarely vocalize to each other. In feral colonies, most communication between grown cats happens through body language, scent, and positioning. Meowing is something domestic cats developed primarily as a way to communicate with humans. It's not their default language. It's their learned language. The one they built for us. So when your cat sits outside a closed door and meows, she's not yelling into the void. She's using the specific communication channel she's developed for one audience, you. She's speaking in the language she crafted to reach you, through a barrier that won't let her use any of her other tools. She can't rub against you. She can't slow blink at you. She can't place herself in your line of sight. The door has taken away every subtle instrument she usually relies on. So she uses her voice. The one tool that passes through wood. That's not impatience. That's ingenuity. That's a cat solving a communication problem in real time. Then there's the one that quietly breaks people when they finally understand it. The paw under the door. You've seen it, that single paw, sometimes two, sliding into the gap beneath the closed door. Reaching. Stretching. Curling slightly as if trying to hook onto something on the other side. Most people find this cute or funny. They take photos of it, laugh about it, post it online. But sit with it for a second. She can't open the door. She can't get through. She can't reach you with her voice in a way that changes anything. So she extends the only part of herself that fits through the gap. She's not playing. She's reaching for you. Literally. Physically. With whatever small part of her body the barrier will allow. And then there is the cat who presses her entire body against the door. This one is easy to dismiss as just settling into a comfortable spot. But consider what feline behaviorists have observed about contact behavior in cats who share close social bonds. In colonies where cats form tight affiliative groups, they often rest in direct physical contact with each other, flank to flank, back to back. This contact isn't accidental. It's a form of social thermoregulation and mutual comfort that researchers sometimes call alloresting. When your cat presses herself against the closed door, she may be reaching for the nearest version of that contact. She can feel the faint warmth of the wood. She can smell traces of you through the gap. She's simulating closeness with the only surface that connects her to where you are. Each of these dialects carries a slightly different emotional weight, but they all share one thing. Not a single one of them is about the door. The door is irrelevant to her. She doesn't care about the door. She doesn't hate it, want to destroy it, or feel offended by it. The door is simply the obstacle between her and the thing that actually matters. You. Every variation of waiting, silent, vocal, reaching, pressing, is oriented toward the same fixed point. You are the constant in every version of this behavior. The door changes nothing about her intent. It only changes the method she uses to stay connected. Research published in the journal Current Biology explored how cats respond when separated from their caregivers in an unfamiliar environment. What they found was striking. Roughly 65% of the cats in the study displayed what researchers classified as secure attachment, a pattern remarkably similar to the percentages found in human infants. Securely attached cats didn't panic when their person left. They showed mild stress, then settled. They waited. And when their person returned, they acknowledged them and then calmly resumed exploring. That behavioral profile, the waiting without panic, the trust in return, mirrors what your cat does every time she sits outside your bathroom door. She's not falling apart. She's holding steady. And that steadiness, that quiet faith that you'll come back through that door, might be one of the most emotionally honest things she ever shows you. People say cats are aloof. They say cats don't care, don't bond, don't need anyone. It's one of the most repeated ideas about cats in the world, and your cat disproves it every single day without making a sound. Because an aloof animal doesn't sit outside a closed door for 30 minutes waiting for someone to come out. An aloof animal walks away. An aloof animal finds something better to do. Your cat doesn't. She stays. She stays when there's food in her bowl, a window full of birds, a warm patch of sun on the carpet. She stays when every alternative is easier than waiting in a dim hallway next to a door that won't open. And she does it not once, but every time. That's not aloofness. That's devotion, spoken in a dialect most people never learn to hear. Here's the part that changes things for most people. After everything we've explored, the scent trail that breaks, the sensory map that fractures, the dialects of silence and sound and reaching, the simplest, truest translation of your cat waiting outside a closed door comes down to one sentence. She is saying, "You are the center of my world, and I don't settle the same way when I can't reach you." Not because she's helpless. Not because she's anxious. But because you are her fixed point. The one presence in her entire territory that she orients around. And when a door removes that presence, she goes to the last place where the thread was still intact and holds her position. That's not need. That's choice. Think about what closing a door means from her perspective. To you, it's nothing. A 2-second motion you make without thinking. You step into the bathroom, you push the door shut, you go about your business. It barely registers in your mind. But to her, that small motion just made the most important person in her world unreachable. The scent shifted. The sound changed. The rhythm broke. And instead of accepting the separation, instead of wandering off the way the world insists cats do, she walked to the edge of that barrier and chose to stay. She chose closeness over comfort. Proximity over indifference. You, over everything else available to her in that moment. Every single time. If you've ever felt a little annoyed by this behavior, that's okay. Honestly, most of us have. The scratching at 3 in the morning. The meowing outside the bathroom when you just want 5 minutes alone. The paw that appears under the door right when you're trying to concentrate. It's easy to feel frustrated when you don't know what it means. But now you do. And that knowledge doesn't ask you to feel guilty for the times you sighed or shooed her away. It just asks you to hear it differently from now on. Tonight, when she's sitting outside that door again, and she will be, you'll recognize the sentence she's been saying. You'll hear it clearly for the first time. And it will sound nothing like annoyance from either side. There's something you can offer her in return, too. Not a grand gesture. Nothing complicated. When you open that door and she's sitting there, looking up at you, slow blink at her. Just a soft, deliberate close and open of your eyes. Feline behaviorists have observed that the slow blink functions as a signal of trust and non-threat between cats, and between cats and their humans. When you slow blink at her in that moment, you're answering her in her own language. You're saying, "I see you. I know you waited. I'm here." Or, if it feels right, leave the door open a crack next time. Not because she needs to come in. But because that small gap tells her she's not shut out of your world. It keeps the scent thread alive. It keeps the map whole. It's a tiny act, but in her language, it speaks volumes. Every cat owner knows the feeling. You open a door, bathroom, bedroom, wherever, and she's just sitting there. Right where you left her. Looking up. Maybe she blinks. Maybe she stands and stretches. Maybe she rubs against your ankle and walks away as if nothing happened. But something did happen. For the entire time you were on the other side, she was holding a conversation you couldn't hear. She was telling you, in posture and patience and proximity, that you are her person. Not because you feed her. Not because you provide shelter. But because somewhere in the quiet architecture of her world, You became the point that everything else arranges itself around. And she confirmed it again today. At the door. In silence. If your cat is a door waiter, and if you've made it this far, she almost certainly is, then you now understand something about her that most people never will. You understand that her presence outside that door was never about territory, never about control, never about curiosity that couldn't wait. It was a sentence. Repeated daily. In a language built from warmth and stillness and the kind of loyalty that doesn't need to be loud to be real. If someone you know has a cat who does this, they deserve to hear what it actually means. Share this with them. Let them see their cat the way you're seeing yours right now. She's been saying it every single day. Every closed door. Every quiet hallway. Every patient, still, unwavering moment of waiting.